Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to bring you guys a review of Kraven, one of the new Sinister Six villains that we got. He's my first tier 2, and I've had quite some time to play with him, so I am ready now to give you guys my thoughts on him, what I think he's very good at, what I think he's not so good at, and where he sits on your roster should you choose to invest in him. So I think that the big pull of Kraven is that, for one, he's a strong speed character, which we don't have many of, and he's a villain, which we also don't have that many of, and he's got a lot of iframes, and finally he does respectable damage. He's not going to be DPS king, but he will surprise you if you are expecting your typical speed damage numbers, because he does perform above that average. On the downside, he doesn't have a lot of crowd control for Shadowland, so, like characters you've come to get used to, like Mysterio and others. And he doesn't have a way of making himself immune, giving himself invincibility, or healing himself. So you just have to rely on your playability, your kiting, and your skill rotation with his iframes. Speaking of his iframes, he does have them on 3, 4, and 5. He also has a 3-second stun on his 5th skill, but you'll very rarely notice it because he's also iframing while the stun is going on. He also has a 3-second bind on his 2nd skill, which is a good skill to either use fully for the damage or to cancel after you've gotten that 3-second bind to rotate more safely into other skills. Having said that, he does have good damage on his 3rd skill and 4th skill as well, but he does specialize, or he does deal better damage against a single target. He doesn't have a lot of AoE or area of effect to his attacks, so you will find that his damage does drop a little bit when he's facing a large mob like a Shadowland boss with a bunch of minions summoned. His 4-star passive, while it may look good, honestly doesn't really do that much. I never notice his damage spiking as the fight goes on, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. If you do intend to tier 2 Kraven, he does have a pretty strong offensive tier 2. He does extra damage, he has ignore dodge, and he has guaranteed crit. So all around spike to the damage. I did notice quite a bit of a jump from his tier 1 to his tier 2 damage, but even at tier 1 he deals a respectable amount of damage. His leadership is really nothing to invest in him for. You're better off pairing him with a 30% physical attack lead or something like that. As far as the skill rotation goes, because he only has iframes and a small bind, you do want to prioritize the iframes when you're going through his rotation. So one of the rotations I think is best is 3, 5, 4, 3, 2. The reason why we use 3 twice is because it's an iframe that has a very short cooldown of 4 seconds. Unfortunately, kind of like Iron Man, Kraven has a very long cooldown on his 5th and 4th skills. 11 seconds and 14 is quite long, so you won't be able to just do 3, 5, 4. Those are his iframes, but if you do those 3 skills, you'll have time left over where you're going to have to kite. So because of that, you want to mix the 3rd skill at the beginning and at the end of your rotation. If you don't want to use 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, another rotation you could use would be 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, or you could do 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, or 5, 3 if you can work in that stun against a Shadowland boss, because the stun on the 2nd skill is good even if you cancel out of it after you get it. There isn't an ABX rotation for Kraven because it's speed hero and he's a speed villain, but he does do particularly well in Shadowlands against a single enemy, even if they have dodge, because he has the dodge ignore tier 2. And he also does pretty well against the villain-only bosses, especially Destroyer. He can even do stage 22 at tier 1. He just has a little bit of trouble with those wave stages where there's lots of mobs coming at him. As far as the gears for the Hunter, we have physical attack and attack speed, all defense and movement speed, skill cooldown and crit damage. The skill cooldown as a primary is very nice. It means that you're not going to roll for Hawk's Eye ISO set, and you're not going to need too many, if any, skill cooldown Uru. And then dodge and crit rate. So he's only missing ignore defense and HP. Those are pretty important, but we can make up for them in other ways. For his 4th gear, you're definitely going to want to roll ignore defense unless you have a lot on your Obelisk or on your cards. HP for the 3rd, all defense for the 2nd, and then physical attack, all attack for the 1st. That's pretty straightforward. As far as the Uru goes for Kraven, you're going to want to give him those 2 physical attack Urus, as we usually do, to bump up a character's damage. The next 2 I recommend would be HP, because he is missing that as a native stat. And as you'll see shortly with Obelisks and ISOs, max HP does come up a lot. So giving him those flat HP numbers, those plus points, is really going to take that percentage that you get later on from max HP and let it go that extra mile, because there's going to be synergy between the raw numbers and the percentage stats. The last Uru slot you can leave for ignore defense if you still need more after you've rolled out your 4th gear. You can additionally give him something like crit damage to synergize with his guaranteed crit rate. You could also go just for crit rate to augment that, but there's no point in having a high crit rate if your crit damage is like 120% and it's very, very low. As far as the Obelisk goes for Kraven, I don't have what I believe to be the ideal Obelisk for him. Mine is more offensive oriented, with ignore dodge stacking with his guaranteed ignore dodged for about 40% there, and then crit rate synergizing with his guaranteed crit rate. So mine is more offensively minded with the invincibility at the end. I think you're better off going for something that has more defensive stats. So I would recommend something with max HP and crit damage or crit rate, and then invincibility. I think that would be a more ideal set for him. The max HP is really going to come in handy. As you can see here, my Kraven only has about 21,500 HP, which is kind of on the low side even for a speed character. So you do want to give him that max HP to bump that number up. And the max HP from the Obelisk is particularly important because he doesn't have a very flexible ISO set. Now you can go with something like Power of Angry Hulk or Overdrive if you want to go offensive. Hawk's Eye, as we said before, is definitely a no-go because he has skill cooldown native on his gear. Other than the offensive sets, which aren't as good for PvP and Conquest, stuff like that, I think Drastic Density or Binary Power are the best sets for him, because when he's not iframing and he gets hit, that HP bubble is going to help him stay alive longer. Stark Backing and I Am Also Groot just don't work because he doesn't have any recovery rate natively. I do think Drastic Density is the better of the 2 ISO sets because it has the attack, which is useful, and it has the crit damage, which synergizes with his tier 2 passive. However, I know that Drastic Density is very difficult to roll for, so if you do get Binary Power, I would stick with it. It's still good enough for Kraven, and it provides him that slight layer of defense that he needs in addition to the invincibility proc on his Obelisk, so that he can take down his enemy before they take him down. Finally, you can get Kraven's Bios from the special missions for the Sinister Six that we got with the latest Spider-Man update. The level itself is pretty fun to run, and it's not too long. It's quite short, so you can get it done with the likes of Odin, Wolverine, even Spider-Man, Elsa, Sharon Rogers, and other fast clear characters. I want to show you guys a little clip now of a world boss clear where we tried not to get hit. It didn't go so well, but you can see the potential in Kraven with all of the rotations, and if you get the timing down on his iframes, he is very hard to do damage to. Let's see how long we can go without taking any damage. Okay, we have an airborne Kraven. Oh, I just took a lick of damage. Took some damage there. Too bad. Taking 2 hits. Well, alright then. Okay. Oh wow, Black Bolt disappeared. Oh, what happened? What? What? My fourth skill got interrupted? Let's finish her with the Wild Tigers. Meow. So easy. Overall, I think that Kraven is one of the strongest characters from the Sinister Six update. I think that Vulture is #1, and I think as far as utility for free-to-play players, Sandman might be #1 because he's a combat supervillain to fill that Carnage void. But besides those two, I think that Kraven is a very solid third place finish out of 6, and I think he's there because of the iframes, because of the damage, and because of just how cool he is. You know, he's a hunter, he looks like one, he sounds like one with the whistling in game, and he really embodies the essence with the wild animals coming in, with the nets, with all the snare and the bolas that he throws. I think that Netmarble did a really good job capturing exactly how it would feel to play like Kraven, and I just have a lot of fun doing it, and I hope that you guys do too. So let me know what you guys think of my review of Kraven. Which of the Sinister Six have you guys tier 2'd? Did you use the latest ticket that we got on him, or another Sinister Six, or another character altogether? Finally, I do want to let you guys know, just as a heads up, that there is a character ranking thing going on right now, a contest for Vulture. I'm just under rank 5,000 right now, but let me know where you guys are with Vulture. I know some of you Debris Boys have a very high ranked Vulture, so I can't wait to hear about what kind of sweet rewards you guys get from that contest. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.